Greeting interwebs for another edition of Pokemon Go Fireside Chat. Technically a live version, but it's just a little something for me to warm up the commentary to before I start my stream proper. Besides, I have been kind of on and off with podcasting lately, and I got back from Swablu Community Day, and I have a lot of thoughts on my mind. Enough that I actually took notes while I was resting, so we could hopefully get through and share a little bit more of those particular thoughts. First and foremost, I am actually really surprised how much I actually ended up enjoying Swablu Community Day. There's been community days I've been more excited about, and yet I kind of get the feeling that I enjoyed this one even more than those. Which is really ironic, because I was convinced that this would be one of the more underwhelming community days in a good long while. If only for me personally, because I had 3 or 4 Swablus as is. I never really was too interested using it for PvP. And a big reason I just want to do a little podcast segment on it is because of the whole official issue, or one, I want to just talk about it a bit. If only out in enjoyment and podcasting as a whole. 2, I know there's I get the feeling that there's things that we can learn from this community day to apply it to other community days in the future, so not every community day has to have a super big hype Pokemon in order to be fun and engaging. And also just to boast a little bit about what I got out of it. It's probably worth mentioning that I was out and playing whole 6 hours, actually out walking for at least 3 of those hours, and catching a few stuff on the way home, and doing some trading within the last hour of it or so. I think a big factor of it is just the shiny not being an exciting thing actually helped make it more of a chill experience. It didn't have to didn't feel pressure to hardcore grind, and yet I was out for so long, I got way more shinies than I ever would care to know what to do with. At least I have Pokemon Home for just slowly transferring them all away, and hopefully someday I'll actually share those shinies with the community day, with the rest of the community, especially parts of the community outside of Pokemon Go. That's the main reason I don't get frustrated with shinies or having too many, because eventually they'll all just get to Home or Sword or Shield, and in theory I'd be able to trade them to other people. I'd like to save it for doing contests on my own streams and that, giveaways on community day, stuff like this, but I have never really sat down and organized it, and I'd love to donate shiny Pokemon to charity events as well, but I'm not sure how the logistics of that would work as well. Point being, Pokemon Go gives me plenty of opportunity to actually get shiny Pokemon, and I don't really need more than 5 of them. For me, it's just every new shiny I get is a new opportunity to get a shiny with better IVs, and all the rest is just extra bonus to share the love with other people. That's hypothetically it is, at least. In theory, at least. In practice, it just involves me hoarding a bunch of Pokemon in Pokemon Home, taking up space, but at least Pokemon Home has so much space I don't really have to worry about running out too badly. Someday though, I swear, someday, we're gonna do something with all those shinies. But that was a little bit more of a tangent than I was expecting. I want to emphasize how chill the experience was, because it's a nice pace between just checking out Swablus I saw while walking, but because there was no pressure, I could stop to do other activities related to Pokemon Go that may not directly have related to Community Day, but I may have not had opportunity to experience if I didn't go out for Community Day, including things like scanning AR spots. I'm not sure not too many people talk about this, so I'm not sure how common knowledge it is, but I forget exactly which Community Day it started. But for a while, every single Community Day, all AR scanning tasks turned into this special research where, if you scan the stop, you get a free rare candy. I can see the argument of bumping that up to a little bit more to incentivize people, because it's hypothetically an easy source of rare candy, but I will admit AR scanning can be a bit of a fickle beast. I pretty much just went with the mindset of do one AR scan, and if it's busted, restart the app and don't worry about trying to scan that spot for the rest of the day. And it worked out okay. I think I maybe got like 5 rare candies, but there was only like... I think I got like 3 or 5 rare candies from that, but there was also only like 5 to 7 AR scan researches that I ran into to begin with. But again, I think a cool way to actually like incentivize people to take advantage of that is like, if it was like, obviously I wouldn't complain if it was like 3 or 5 rare candies for each AR scan, but I could see how that could be busted if you live in an area with a lot of those particular tasks. So I think like it would be cool if like the first 3 to 5 you did gave you a guaranteed 5 rare candy, and then like the other ones after that would give you like 1 or 2. It would still add up over attrition, but 1, it would not be too much of a distraction from the actual community day, but give you something that was worth the effort. And 2, like those, if you want to just play the game and only have time to do like 1 or 2 AR scans, you get a nice, it would reward you properly. I feel would be a good way to put it. But there's also other things I did, like some rocket stops. I mean, they were giving me rocket radars, and the leaders were right in my face, so I just took them out real quick and had the Pokeball Plus do some catching in the background. And same thing with a random Alone Executor raid I came across. Like, I'm still looking for that shiny, and I can handle it myself if no one did join. So I just did that 3-star as quick as I could. Didn't get the shiny, unfortunately, but at least that free pass didn't go to waste. I would have done a second, but I just couldn't find another raid that was easy for me to jump into, but wouldn't take forever to actually like get a proper raid party going. So I could didn't have to waste too much time trying to set it up. And I think the next bullet point I have in here is, I think the part where they give you Mega Energy for doing the research, before the Mega Evolution was even released. Before the event started, and I saw the announcement of them saying, well, after Community Day, and only after Community Day, we're going to release Mega Altaria into the raid pool. And I'm like, I get you don't want to bump into people's catch time, or time with the Community Day event, but it's a 6-hour event, so I'm kind of wondering if it could have gotten away with having the Mega Altarias in the mix, or at least in the last one or 2 hours of the event. Maybe that's worth looking to in the future. If they ever do decide to go back to 3-hour community days, maybe have the first 3 hours just catching and all that grinding, and then the other 3 hours be a factor for actually doing the raids. And you still have the 2 hours after all that to do evolutions and still get the community day move. And just my thoughts on all that. Cause yeah, the only downside I can think of, and it's probably only a downside for Niantic, I doubt anyone in the community is actually going to complain about having too much Mega Energy. But there is something about getting all the Mega Energy you need from the community day, and just ending up in a situation where why do the raid when I already have the energy to do the Mega Evolution? Granted, I did play in an area with enough Pokespots, and I covered a lot of ground just from walking because of that. I'll get more into my overall haul, but it's fair to say after the community day, I had enough energy to do the Mega Evolution. And anything else? Yeah. Next bullet point I want to go through is the dollar special research. I'll admit, I was at my wit's end with that. It is just $1, so it's not like you're wasting a ton of money, but I did kind of feel gypped from the past few. I'm surprised part of it was because if I would have realized if they weren't putting incense in the Community Day special researches sooner, I probably wouldn't have gotten the special research bonus for Snivy Community Day. And I was actually kind of bummed because I already bought it because out of faith and trust, only to realize after I bought it that there was no incense, and worse, there hasn't been incense for a while, and I just haven't picked up on that note in a bit. Because like, I do enjoy this research. It's a fun little bonus, just it's not too expensive. It adds on to the experience with like a little story, nice rewards that help justify the purchase, and the instance like made it like a Community Day care package. Mind you, technically there was things that were worth it in past Community Day box or in the past special research, but I think the instances were just the major thing I cared about. And I forget what was in the last one, but I know they always have rocket radar, and I actually don't like quote-unquote paid rocket radars, because when you get, I actually enjoy doing the grind for it, and when you have a rocket radar, no matter how you get it, whether it's free or one that's given to you without building it, you can't collect any more mysterious components, so like, it just negates the whole major purpose of fighting the rocket grunts until you use up that radar, and that just gets to me sometimes. But point being, like, special research was good again. Not only did they have one instance, they had two, so like, I was willing to like settle with one, because like, it's only slightly cheaper than $1 currently, so it would at least be the value worth of special research. But they get two, so you could like enjoy the whole 6 hours just off the instance from that special research in and of itself. And I do hope they take that in mind going forward in future special researches. Don't mind me, I'm just checking my notes. Oh yeah, the incubator was a nice bonus too. I didn't even notice it until it was pointed out to me after the fact, but yeah, between the instance and the incubator, that alone gave you $1 worth from the $1 special research. And that's what I like about it. It's like you don't get too much out of it, but when it's done right, you get more than your money's worth out of it. So it's just like a cheap little enhancement of an experience that you would get to enjoy with or without it. And that's why I typically like it. Hopefully they keep throwing incense in there so I can continue to enjoy it as is. And I think that's a lot of the major points. So like, anything I didn't mention that they could take on into future community days, long story short, I think like Niantic needs to think out of the box, think of ways to make Community Day special without relying solely on the Pokemon. Because when you only have so many special Pokemon, and you can only like make a Pokemon raid relevant so many times before it gets sold. So I think the key factor is to add little bonuses to help make the Community Day experience a unique experience. And I think like the whole Mega Energy hunt is one of those factors. Something that helps make the Community Day special in and of itself. And now on to the story time with Jackie K about how his Community Day went. So don't mind these, were just like, I'll get to it at the end. I was doing some trades and those are just trade extras that I haven't transferred yet. I guess first and foremost, I could like just give you a shiny count. Keep in mind, technically I had my app on the entire 6 hours, something I don't normally get to do. But let's see, you got Swablu here, or I should just go shiny age 0. Ended off the day with 33 shiny Swablus. Some of which have already been evolved because Community Day ended like 3 hours ago, so if I wanted to move on them, I had to have done it 3 hours ago. And it's kind of funny because like I have all these really good ones, but I still kind of think I evolved more than I needed to, just because so many of them were good. But there's also a couple of them are good at just sitting around. So I ended the day with 33 shinies, including quite a few good ones. Let me find that there's a Swablu in particular I want to share that I have a fun story behind. Should be like near the bottom. Here we go, this rank 3 GBL Altaria. I guess it's not as much of a story as I thought. Just got out of the car, started to walk, and when the first maybe like the first 10 or so Swablu's, it was definitely within the first half hour of playing I got. Had a really nice IV setup, and I basically did this, gave it an appraisal, saw that it came out like that, put in the PV poke, and came out rank 3. It's kind of funny because like I was going into Community Day with a Swablu that I caught not too long ago, maybe like a couple weeks before this event, if even that. That was like a rank 4 or 5 Altaria. So I was already pretty content about having a really good PvP IV Swablu to bring in, and then I catch this one. Before I go into more about that, yeah, I have some notes here about the exact details of how many Swablus I have. At least 3 of my shinies were an IV ranking of 90% or above. 2 of the major highlights was a photo bomb that I got that had like 14 attack, 12, and then 14. And then like I had ability to do a trade with. It was a special trade. We weren't lucky friends still, so we just swapped shiny Swablus to see what happened. In my mind, like worst case scenario, like if it was quote unquote bad IVs, it might be a good shiny for PvP. But instead I ended up getting one that had like 15 attack and 14 in the other stats. So of course that's the one I evolve, and because with it being the shiny, it's the one I tend to power up to use as my Mega Altaria later on down the line. And I have to point out, because I'm kind of wondering if I'm the only one that fell in this boat, but it's just my imagination, or I've noticed a lot of the shiny Swablus I was getting were off the instance. They weren't like wild spawns in of themselves. But then again, I got like freaking 33, was it? I might have just not been even paying attention to the non-shinies I got. It felt like I was getting more shinies directly off my instance as usual. But with how many shinies I got, I probably still got more off the wild in of itself. It was just a weird anecdote is what it's called? Thing that I noticed along the way. Again, like I was out walking for 3 hours, and I don't even know it was 3 hours walking because like I had lunch in the mix, but I was at least checking the Pokemon while I was walking. Let's see. Yeah, I've already pointed out the raids and some of the other things I did on the side. Didn't get anything too notable from the rockets I did, but I did like get a couple more Shadow Machops to check. Nothing amazing there, but I already had some pretty good Shadow Machops in of itself. It's just a shame because I feel overdue for a new shiny. I don't think I've gotten a shiny from Rocket Grunt since they've been in rotation for like 4 freaking months. And I may not be the most hardcore Rocket Grinder, but I feel like I at least engage with the system enough. I'm a little sad because I get the feeling when this next Team Rocket theme event comes up with like within the week, if not sooner than that they're gonna swap around the Rocket Leaders again, and I get they've been around forever, so I get why some people would want to change, but I feel like they can't. I feel like they actually swapped them too soon, considering like how hard it actually is to get the shiny. Now for the story of the trading. At the very end of the day, I stopped by a friend's place I haven't seen in a while. I didn't quite feel. I am fully vaccinated, but I don't quite feel ready to engage closely in the world. Plus, like, so basically, like, I pulled up to the friend's driveway and I traded with them from my car. So there would be a fair amount of distance, but close enough to actually do trading. That's when we swapped the Swablus, and I got that really good IV Swablu that I talked about earlier. We also got a Lucky. I don't know if it's really like anything too remarkable. It wasn't anything too amazing, no. It was good. It's just that I've gotten so much better. Yeah, I think that comes to like 12, 13, 13. So I was on the fence if I should evolve for the heck of it, but like I already have a really good PvP one. I already have a good. My shinies were already so good that if I was going to evolve multiples of anything, it might as well have been the shinies. So I did that. I think out of all the Pokemon we swapped, that was the only shiny in the mix though. After that, it was mostly just like swapping. It was mostly just swapping Pokemon to get extra candy. Like, I have some friends from the various podcast communities that are out of state, so I was able to swap some Pokemon with them to get extra candy. That's why I have that Gibble, Riolu, and Volbeat that are just sitting in my inventory, because I think I'm just gonna. They weren't really too amazing, so I think I'm gonna hold on to them for the next time we have an event where you gotta just transfer, where you can transfer away Pokemon for extra candy. And when we do that, transfer them then to get like the extra candy. But I like got some extra candy with Goomy, Audino, just because like I don't see them too often in a while, and I'm trying to get enough candy so I can like maybe not max my Audino, but I like to at least power it up to pre-Candy XL levels. So I don't know what they're gonna do when they want to introduce Mega Audino into the game. But like there's not... Audino's just so far and few between that I don't even have enough candies to max it out. And I hope they don't just make us like do Audino Mega Rays to get that candy. I hope there's like some event to like ease us into it and into all that. And I was getting on a tangent. Oh yeah, so like I traded some of those things to them to get candy, and they traded some things to me so they could get the candy. It's my first. I think it was my first trading session since the whole thing with Candy XL was introduced, where you can get candy off that. I was actually kind of surprised how with just swapping Swablus, we didn't live that far apart. But a lot of the Swablus that I had, I actually got Candy XL when I traded them. And it was like only far enough of distance to actually get like 2 normal Swablu candies out of it, and yet I still got Candy XL sometimes in those trades. So the health is a little more generous than I thought. And I wish I actually had more friends that I was actually comfortable with trading with. And if I did, I would be able to do that more often. I'm gonna like, now that I'm fully vaccinated, I'm gonna slowly ease myself into more and more places, like, and including like the big one that I haven't gone to in 2 years, that has like so many spots and gyms and always full of stuff to do. Haven't gone into 2 years just because even though it was mostly outside, I haven't felt comfortable. I was worried I wouldn't be able to space myself properly in order to do that. So maybe all that will change when I go out there. I just overall don't get too many opportunities to trade like a lot of people do. That's something in of itself. I think that's about it, at least for the Swablu Community Days talks. Thank you all for tuning in for all this. Sorry I'm being a little casual and like caught off guard with just so used to just talking to myself that even just a single person coming in and saying hi threw me off. I just think it's an overall fine experience. So, see y'all later. For people on the podcast side, I'm not officially back in the podcast. I keep saying it, but it still keeps applying. I want to like have a backlog of editorials, like at least record 2 to 3 editorials in advance, so when I actually do decide and say, hey, I'm gonna officially start doing this podcast thing again, every Sunday, that I can actually consistently upload it every Sunday. I don't think I'm at that point yet, especially because I got, like, a new playthrough that's taking a bit of editing on the side, and then, like, then the other playthrough that was going to just be direct VOD uploads. I figure I'd, like, take a little time to edit those VODs to make the experience a little more smooth, so, I'm sure the next time I actually do something like this, I'll have a more focused idea when the podcasts are going to officially come back. We're getting there, though. We're getting there to a point. I've been consistently upbeat enough to feel that it'll happen someday. I just don't know when that day is yet. But alas, I'm rambling. Take care. At least for the podcast.